Hey, we're live.
It's going to bounce back and forth.
I don't care. It's fine right there.
Okay.
Are we live?
We are live.
Alrighty.
And Facebook is building an audience for us, so it will show me like how many people are actually like watching as eyeballs come in. You know, we just got 1 viewer type of thing right now, 2. So you're not nervous at all, are you, Damian?
No. You probably told him it was Efren, and then like so he gets more views. If they told him it was me, nobody would sign up to watch it.
No, that's people were waiting and that sort of thing. So thanks for joining us. Pool friends, meet Damian Pongpanik. Is that the correct pronunciation of your name?
Sure. Yes. Yeah. It's close enough.
Okay. If you have any questions, feel free to chime in and post them in your comments. We do see them live, so we'll be sure and ask. Why don't you go ahead and start by telling us when you started playing pool and how you got started?
Well, I was 12 years old and started playing at the Boys and Girls Club back in Salt Lake City, Utah. So the neighborhood I grew up in was a little on the rougher side, and it was a gang neighborhood. And so my mom didn't want me to get involved with the gangs, so she enrolled me in an after-school program at the Boys and Girls Club. And so when I went up there, I mean, I'm not the most athletically gifted person in the world, so I kind of gravitated towards pool rather than basketball, what everybody else did. So I just kind of like fell in love with it and played it, every day. And then I was to the point where I was like beating all the kids there at the Boys and Girls Club, and I was also beating all the teachers and stuff like that too. And so my mom could see how infatuated I was about it, so she took me down to the local pool hall and put me in a Sunday tournament. It was a handicap tournament, and I did good. First time I played, I got 3rd place, and it was, these guys now they're, I don't know how they would rate in today's like rank, what level of play they would be, but it was good for 12 years old. And then I quit for when I got into junior high, and then I started back up in high school, and then I've been playing ever since there. So I basically took like a year off. So all in all, since I'm 12 years old.
So when you first started, how many hours a day were you playing?
Well, probably about 3 or 4 hours a day when I was, a kid. And then, when I was in high school, I'd get done with school and I would go directly to the pool hall from there. And then it got to be where I would go less to school and go to the pool hall, ditching at 3rd period, or and so yeah, that I don't know, probably through my teenage years, like 5 to 6 hours a day on average there, quite a bit. And then as I got more and more free time, it was more. So like during my 20s, when all I was doing was playing pool, it was 12 hours a day on average.
Wow.
Yeah.
We have a few different people in the audience. Stacy Outs said hello.
Hi,
And so when you ultimately, got out of high school, why don't you tell us, because you played pool for a period of time that was just playing pool. Why don't you tell everyone about that?
Yeah, so actually that didn't come until I was after 21. So I played a lot through my teenage years, and then I moved out of my house. I moved out of my mom's house when I was 16. And so, it's a tough world out there. Teenagers don't seem to know that. But I realized how tough it was, and so, I went and got a part-time job working at a pizza place while I was playing pool. So I was kind of doing like you know, the dual thing, work and pool. And then I went, you know, worked really hard till I was about 21 years old, and then I broke up with a girlfriend I had at the time, and I'm like, you know what, screw it, I'm just gonna play pool because that's what I want to do. And I just said, you know, I'm never gonna have another chance like I have in these years here. If I, you know, if I turn 40 years old and never even gave it a shot, I'm gonna regret it for the rest of my life. So I did. So I just went. I quit the job. I moved out of my apartment. I rented a room from a friend, and all I did was play pool. And so my days used to work like this. So I'd wake up at. Now, granted, keep in mind I was out till 5 o'clock in the morning playing pool, but I'd wake up about 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon usually. I'd go get something to eat. I'd go to the pool hall and practice for a few hours. I'd get involved in the local golf game. They'd play golf on the 6x12 table to try to make some money there. Go get dinner. Go play a pool tournament. When the pool tournament was done, I head back to the pool hall after the pool tournament was done and try to get in action until the place closed. And I did that every day for years when I wasn't on the road playing.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what that looked like. Sounds like a great life, right?
Sounds like a pool player's life.
Yeah.
When you were starting out playing and when you decided to be on the road, what do you think you envisioned that being like? What did you hope was going to happen for you?
So since I grew up in Salt Lake City, Utah, it's not the best pool area around, you know, but there was me and there was actually another young player, same name as me, Damian and so we were best friends, and we had this dream of being professional pool players, and we kind of had some models to go after. So Mark Tad, you know, was from Salt Lake, and you know, he was the only professional pool player to ever come out of Utah at that time, and so the only roadmap we had becoming a pro was you have to get out on the road and you have to go travel, and that's, you have to get your seasoning. And then I became good friends with one of my close friends, Tommy Baker, who's kind of like a mentor to me, and he told me, he said, if you want to get good, you're going to have to get seasoning. You're going to have to go out there and play different people and always be under pressure. And so my ultimate goal is I wanted to be a professional pool player, and I wanted to be an elite player. And I thought the only way to do that was to actually get out and travel and play different people and gamble and, you know, all those things there. So that was kind of what my thought was, is going on the road. What I was hoping to get from it was just a lot of experience. Never thought about the money.
Didn't think about the money?
No. I mean, the money came as a byproduct, and it wasn't always ups. Believe me, there was plenty of times where I went broke out there. Even in town too, because sometimes you don't get action when you get played in your own hometown. But yeah, it was never about the money for me. It still isn't to this day. Like, I like making money playing pool, and it's a kind of a bivocational thing for me now. But pool's, as much as I like the money there and I talk about it, there's an ego thing in me about it that just wants to be the best player I can be, you know.
Of course.
So.
Do you have any memorable road stories that you can share?
Yeah, but it's going to sound bragging though. But
go ahead.
Okay.
We'll forgive you.
So I'm in Kansas City, Missouri, and this was shortly after I took second down at the BCA, and I was playing pretty good at the time, and I'm in Kansas City, Missouri, and we're kind of running dry because our bankroll's just getting short. We weren't really getting a lot of action. We weren't making a lot of money at the time, and so we heard about one of the pool room owners there, who's a good scorer. So naturally, we go down to the pool hall, try to smooth our way into getting down to play, and he's obviously a lot smarter person than we are because he's got this nice business and a lot more money than we do. So, so he figured out who we were. And he got a line on me, and he asked for a ridiculous spot for my partner, and then he asked for a less ridiculous spot for me. So I gave him this 7 out on the bar table, and we're playing. It was like races to 11 for think it was 2000.
Uh-huh.
And we played, so you have to play 2 sets ahead. And so you have to win 2 sets in order to collect all the money, or you don't get anything. And so we put every penny that we had into play there. So if I lose, I'm completely broke in the middle of the country, with no way to get home. And first set, he has me down 10-5, and he's shooting the 6 ball straight in, and the 7 ball is in the jaws. So if he makes a 6, he wins the game. I lose. I'm down a set. A lot of pressure on me. Somehow, miraculous way, he shot the 6 ball into the rail and just missed it. And that was the last time that he shot until he was down 5-0 the next set. So I ran 10 racks in a row.
Nice.
Yeah. And I got the money. And that was my most memorable road story, probably.
It had to feel good.
Oh yeah, and I did it in front of the whole town there, so it was exciting. Needless to say, I didn't get any more action in Kansas City after that. No.
Well, so LT says hello, and Andy Randazzo asked who your favorite road player is.
Current or earlier life?
Well, why don't you say earlier life and then tell us who your favorite current road player is?
Road player or pro player?
Why don't you make that your choice? Like, I mean, obviously road player or professional player. I mean, they're both high level players, obviously.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you know, I always as far as like, you know, pool idols growing up, I grew up during Efren during his prime, you know, so Efren was always my idol as far as like, you know, who I wanted to play like. I loved Efren. And then as I've gotten older, I appreciate different things about the game now. So I really appreciate like solid fundamentals and solid mental game and those things there. I'm not saying Efren doesn't have that, but like I look at different things now, and even though Efren's the greatest ever, I look at guys like Thorsten Homan. It's just, I watch him play. He's just so perfectly fundamentally sound, and then his mental game is like unbelievable. Like, you know, he can miss a shot to win the entire tournament, and you would never see an ounce of emotion out of him. And I respect that a lot. You know, I wish I could do that, but I'm too emotional of a guy.
Bill Hodges asked if you have a mentor.
How about Steve Lingelbach? No. I like Steve a lot. No, Steve works with me a little bit now on some certain aspects of the game. As far as like growing up goes, Tommy Baker would have to be my biggest mentor ever. You know, we're best friends. I love the guy to death. I wouldn't be the pool player I am today had it not been for Tommy Baker. You know, he took me to my first tournament at 18 years old, out of state. You know, got me wristband into a place that's 21 and older. So you know, he got me into the place, got me into the tournament. They put a wristband on me so they wouldn't serve me alcohol, and he took me around, and you know, he played with me at home. And so I was, you know, had that opportunity to play with the best player in town there. And I mean, so back in the day, Tommy Baker was just a phenomenal player. You know, he's older and has different priorities in life now, as we all do. But back in the day, he could flat out play.
What's the most valuable thing that he shared with you?
Well, I mean, there are a lot of things, but as far as like making that transition from being a recreational player to playing for a living, is you know, he told me, he said, if you want to, you know, make a living playing pool, or if you want to do pool as your profession, you need to treat pool like a business. And I never even looked at it that way, because to me, you know, a young kid, you know, it's a hobby, it's fun and all that, and you know, I just loved it, but I never looked at it through business lens. And so when I looked at it through that, I started looking at things like, okay, you know, how much time am I investing into my game to get better, so I can, you know, win this tournament so I can go on to play the next tournament, or money game or whatever the case may be. So I started looking at it through that lens there. Even though I said it's not about the money, I had to. At some point, you have to look at it from, from a fiscal sense.
Yeah, I mean, if you could make, $10 an hour at McDonald's, you're,
Yeah.
and that's more lucrative than playing pool, then, ultimately you have to feed yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. So so when I started doing that, it changed things for me a little bit because I was, it put me in a position where I was taking the game a lot more serious, and that actually helped teach me how to win. So rather than just showing up and playing and just doing my best, like having a business mindset where if I don't win, I don't get paid. I don't get a paycheck. And so that forced some tenacity out of me that I didn't know was there, and so that, it still plays today, even though I don't play pool for the money now, those, tenacious traits that I have come from that, from those younger years. Yeah.
Are there any other valuable tidbits that you picked up along the way from other people that you would share?
I don't know. What do you mean by that?
Just things that have resonated with you that you've incorporated into your game. You talked for a second about Steve mentoring you, and obviously having that experience out there on the road. You're, picking up different things from, I'm sure learning and growing as a player. So I wasn't sure if anything stuck out to you or...
I just picked up a little bit from everybody, that I've come in contact with, whether I ask them questions or whether I just pay close attention. I'm not shy about asking questions, so if there's something that I want to know or something I want to learn, I always asked it. So I don't, like Steve, I asked him if he'd help me with some kicking at one time, and he helped me with some kicking and some safeties and things like that. And I asked for some help from a friend of mine on some one pocket. John Schmidt, great friend of mine. He's helped me a lot just by not necessarily teaching me little things, but just being around him, and I just listening to the way how he looks at the game. And so I wouldn't say anyone's taught me anything in specific, but I pick up little things here and there, and I've always added things to my game.
So let's transition, and why don't you tell us about what you're doing these days? Job, personal life.
Halfway retired pool player.
Well, I know you're not retired because I've seen you out there winning tournaments. So
yeah, it's a hobby now, and it's I'm married, coming up on 8 years this year.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I'm a father. I have a 2.5-year-old son.
Aww.
And I have to be able to provide for them. And so, as great as pool is, even if I was the best in the world and could make a lot of money, like Shane Van Boning, I'd be gone away from my family all the time. So I chose the other side of life there to settle down and focus on a career. So now, I'm in sales. I've been in sales for about 10 years now, and just started a new job where I'm a national sales manager. So it's been a progression to get to this point. So that's where a lot of my focus is at now. It's family, career, other stuff, and then there's pool. Because as life is just busy. Yeah.
We do have a bunch of questions coming in, so let me try to keep these organized.
Okay.
So Bob Olson asked how much you practice now. He also asked how much you practice in the past, and then how you manage that with family and job. So was all that too much at once? Okay.
No. So Bob, I don't hardly practice at all now. Pulled out my cue for the first time since May. Last night playing Steve Lingelbach. Actually, I take that back. I had some folks over on the 4th of July, so I played for an hour or so then. But other than that, I haven't hit a ball since May until last night. you know, it's funny too because I've got a table at my house. I've got a 9-foot diamond, and I just don't ever play. But when my mind's in the game and I'm wanting to play, you know, I'll go and hit balls, you know, for an hour or so, you know, a few times a week. I'm a big believer now that it's a lot more about quality over quantity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've hit 1 million balls in my lifetime, and it's a matter of not how to hit the ball now. It's about fine tuning for me. And so, if I really wanted to take my game to a whole nother level, it would obviously I need to put a lot more time in than that. But yeah, that's about what I do now. I usually just gear up a little bit when I got a tournament coming up, and you know, I'll you know, tell my wife, I'll say, hey, I'm gonna go disappear for a couple hours and go hit some balls downstairs, and might do that a few times. But other than that, it's not a daily thing. It's not even a weekly thing for me.
Yeah. I know that Randy Lee had asked if you, she said that she, you know, admired you kind of seeing things through different glasses with the business sense, but wanted to know if you still enjoyed playing, you know, when that was the case, or, you know, as you've gotten better type of thing.
Oh yeah, it was. Pool always has and probably always will be my passion. You know, I never lost the passion for it. All the business side did was it just helped. It helped me get my mind in the right direction as far as like learning how to win. You know, but I always enjoyed it. Like I get done with one tournament, and I couldn't wait to get on to the next or get on to the next town to play somebody. Like I literally from the time I woke up to the time that I laid my head on the pillow, my whole life revolved around pool for most of my life, you know.
Mm-hmm. Luke asked if you like gambling or tournaments better.
It's
Yeah, Luke Thomas.
you know, it depends on what stage of life I was in. Like now, I kind of like tournaments better now. I do like gambling still, and I you know, I like betting, you know, fairly decent amount of money, but I've got so much other things going on in life now, like the stress of gambling it's just not as appealing to me as it used to be. You know, before it was fun, and it was how I made my living. If I didn't either win a tournament or gamble, I just didn't make any money, and so I had no choice. But now, you know, I've got a pretty good career, and I'm not hurting for money every day. So I don't feel the need to have to gamble. If I gamble now, it's more in the sense of I want to prove something to myself or somebody. You know.
Yeah. So another question was, how did you acquire your skills gambling or tournaments? How did you acquire those skills?
Well, you know, it's like I mentioned earlier. I mean, I played a lot. You know, I just played a lot of pool, and the gambling and the tournaments there, those things. It's not that they, you know, taught me how to play the game in a sense from, you know, how to stroke or how to draw your ball or anything like that. But what it did was it taught me how to win, I guess, and how to be alert of my game. And if I lose a match because I dogged this shot here, you know, I take mental pictures of what happened in that scenario there, so I can correct it for next time. You know, and with there always being something on the line when I was playing, whether it be gambling or tournament, you know, you strive to do better than the last time you played. So I would make a lot of mental notes and try to progress from there. So if I went to a tournament and I took, you know, 5th, 6th place in the tournament and I felt like I was supposed to win, you go back and analyze, what did I do wrong there? Where did it go wrong for me? And so that's how gambling and tournaments kind of helped me with my game.
Is there an art to winning or an art to losing?
Yeah, I really think so. I mean, you know, there's players out there that play great, you know, practice, but then they can't beat anybody, you know. And then there's players there that sometimes you're like, God, how do they beat anybody? But they always just seem to win, you know. And I think that's a lot of like what goes on in here and in here, you know. You have to have a certain type of DNA to win, not just a pool, just in life, you know. You can't just show up. You have to fight. You have to scratch. You have to claw. And especially in pool, you know, there's so many times where, you know, you'll be down in a match and you can either choose to give up or you can just accept the fact that your opponent's going to beat you, or you can dig your heels in and just do everything you can to win. That choice is yours, you know. And so I think learning how to win is there is a skill to that. It's not just this person's a winner. It just doesn't naturally happen. I think that's something you have to learn how to do.
Luke Thomas asks what your greatest tournament victory is, either in, you know, just the prestige of the event or the amount of money. What do you consider your greatest tournament victory?
Oh, I don't know. I've won some good tournaments. The one that I didn't win, but I wanted to win, I should have won, was Vegas. When I was, you know, 21 years old, and it was back when Vegas, the fields were much bigger, you know, and you know, I took second there in a field of 2,015 players, and I had the hill, I had the hot seat, and I dogged my brains out there in the finals, shaking like a leaf. I remember Steve in the corner there when he had the magazine, snapping his photos of it, and I see all these cameras everywhere, and the crowd's cheering for me because I'm the young kid on there, and I just couldn't pull it together. That was probably my most memorable one. But there's been some other ones too. I remember some big 8-ball tournaments that I've won. On the bar table there was some really, really high caliber 8-ball players there. So I don't know. I don't necessarily have one that stands out, because there was a time for a few years where I was winning a lot of tournaments, you know.
Yeah.
So
you still win a lot of tournaments.
I haven't won so much in the last couple of years, but
well, you do pretty good in them.
Yeah, not bad for a working stiff, right?
That's right.
So
Luke asked also the biggest set you've ever gambled.
Oh, I played for. Well, I don't know if it really counts, but I did play a guy one time and win 40,000. I didn't get paid all of it, but I did beat him out of that. Didn't get paid all of it, but that was some pretty high dollars. I played Shane Van Boning for some high dollars one time.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I was getting a big spot, but you know, I almost beat him out of. I had him stuck like $9,000 at one point during that match. So
cool.
Yeah. So I don't know, 10,000.
Yeah.
I hope that answered your question, Luke.
Yeah. Stacy asked if you've ever taken anyone under your wing.
Not like directly, because I don't know, being a mentor figure, or like just like working with someone, like having a pet project or a student or someone like that. It doesn't. I'm not the best at that. So some people are really good at doing, and some people are really good at teaching, and some people are good at both. I'm not the best teacher, so I've tried. You know, I tried one time with a friend of mine, my friend Turk, who's, you know, he helped me kind of get into fitness, and the deal was he helped me get into shape, and I helped him out with his pool game, and so I worked with him for a while, and you know, he got a little bit better, but I kind of realized that my strength isn't there in teaching.
No.
So.
Luke wanted you to elaborate on your story about gambling with Shane.
Oh. Yeah, this is probably going to kill my action there for the rest of my life now. But, no, so this was back in Salt Lake City, and Shane came through. This is right after he won this was right around the time where he won his first U.S. Open. And he came through a few weeks prior, and he gave me the 7-out and robbed me. And so we negotiated a different game, come back and bet more money. So so when he came back, he spotted me we alternated the breaks. We raced to 11, and he gave me the last 3 for $3,000 a set. And boy, I tell you, that was some of the. I mean, I thought I had the nuts. I thought I couldn't lose. But man, that was brutal. So I had a chance to bust him. He only had $12,000 on him, and I had him 9,000 stuck. And he goes, the last set to bust him or to keep playing. He goes hill, and he broke. He played a safe on me, and I kicked the 1 ball in, and I scratched.
Oh.
Yeah. So otherwise, I had a chance to win there, and then anyways, after that, the sets went back and forth. We ended up playing for about 18 hours.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, and at the end of that 18 hours, I was shaking like a leaf because that guy there has got freaking like venom for blood, and he just never let up. He was something else, but it was a pretty memorable experience. He'll tell you that too if you ask him. He remembers it vividly.
I bet. Bill Harrison had said, over the years, I've always heard to be a good winner, you have to be a good loser. And his question is, what's your perspective on that?
I won't disagree with that. Now, being a good loser isn't always easy, so sometimes I've lost with a lot of grace, and sometimes I don't take it very well, but I would agree with that. And the older I get, the more mature I get, the more I agree with that, because you see guys who lose, they act like fools when they lose, and it's just like, really? Is it really worth you breaking your cue over, or just acting like an idiot, and then 10 minutes later you have to redeem yourself? And so yeah, I agree with that statement. But I don't think you have to be a good loser to be a good winner, but I think you should be a good loser.
Yeah. How do you feel about hustling people out of money? Right, wrong?
I guess it's kind of relative. So would I go hustle some 80-year-old woman out of her life savings? No. I might have back when I was younger. I was kind of a turd back then, but as far as like in the pool room goes, though, I mean, if somebody's willing to get on the table with you and bet their money, that's their choice, right? And if I beat you in the sense of I made a better game than you did, and I guess if you want to call that hustling, you can, but if I made a better game than you and I just beat you because of that, then sorry. I don't feel bad about it.
Is there a difference between hustling and gambling?
I have never gone into a place like your old school traditional from the movies hustle, right? And pretended like I couldn't play and then got somebody to bet me, and then all of a sudden I turned it on and beat them. What I have done, though, is I let people hustle themselves. So I have been in a bar situation or whatever, like a place where I'm not there to play pool. I just happen to be on the pool table with some friends or a date or something like that when I was younger. And so I don't know, something about my face says easy money or something. I don't know, but
baby face.
Yeah, but I've had people come up to me and just ask me to play for money, and I'm like, sure, yeah, and and I remember one time, and I this guy he asked me to play, and he's like, you want to play for some money, and we'll play for 20, and I said sure. He goes, do you want to play for more? And I said, what are you thinking? He goes, 50. I said, well, you just want to make it 100, and then he goes, what are you a hustler? And I told him, I said, no, I'm not a hustler. I'm a good player, and I just want you to know you can't beat me. And it was kind of profound to me because his ego kicked in. He's like puffed up at the chest. He's like, yeah, let's play for that 100. And $800 later, he was, it was a different story. But So I started using that anytime I'd be in that situation. I just tell people flat out, I'm a good player and you can't beat me. I'm sorry. If you want to play, whatever. And their male ego would just get the best of them, and they'd hustle themselves, And I've made more money that way than I have trying to play my game down.
Yeah.
It's weird how that works.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
So, why don't you tell us, what you think about the state of the game and what you think would make it better?
That's a loaded question right there. The way how I see pool now, it's very league oriented. There's less and less tournaments for players like myself to play in. I feel like, and a lot of rewarding for mediocrity. I see it now. I think to make the game better, I think you need to make the game more competitive again. And enough of this tiered pool. You play with this tier, and then these people play with that tier, and so on and so forth. I don't think that's productive for the game. I don't think it encourages competition, and without competition or someone driving you to want to improve your game, you're only going to go as high as the best person in that tier you're playing in. And I don't think that's good. There was a lot of, I've had a lot of wins in my life, but I've also had lots of losses earlier on too, where you have to go out there and you have to take your beatings and you have to try to learn from that. You have to want to get out there and practice and improve your game. And if you don't deserve to win. I'm sorry. It's just my opinion. And so, I have a friend of mine. They did really well down in Vegas this year in the team event. And there's only 16 teams in their division because they had broken out to so many different tiers of, divisions of pool. And I'm just like, God, that's kind of lame. It doesn't. I don't think that helps the game,
right.
in my opinion.
Right. Stan is with us, and he asked if you have ever asked Scott Chandler to gamble.
Never, ever, Stan. Yes.
Does Scott Chandler gamble? There's got to be a story behind this question.
There is a story behind it. And Stan's wanting me to tell it right now.
Is it appropriate to share?
Yeah, I just look like a turd, but it's okay. So we're in Oroville, California. This was during my time while I was playing pool, and in a tournament down there. I can't remember what tournament it was. A big bar box tournament, and I'm playing in the singles and kind of struggling throughout the tournament. So I get put in the B side real early on. And then I run into Scott Chandler, and I've never met Scott because I didn't live up here in the Northwest at the time. Right. and he freaking beat me, And here's my, younger dumb days, and I was like not being a good loser, and I puffed up at the chest a little bit, and I'm like, "Hey Scott, do you want to gamble? Do you play for money?" And apparently Stan had already coached Scott up. And said, if you beat him, you need. He's going to ask you if you want to gamble. So just say yes. and so his response back to me was, yeah, I do. And all of a sudden now I'm like hounding him. I'm like, oh, this guy can't beat me. I'm gonna go take this guy off. And so I hounded him for like the next couple hours. And he's like, yeah, we're gonna play. And so Stan and Nick Kruger, they got a kick out of that. And finally they leveled with me that he's never gonna play. They were just playing a prank on me. So. That's the story behind that.
Gotta love the other pool players, right?
Yeah. Hope you're happy, Stan.
Well, you told this story with grace. Nice job. So, do you have hobbies or other interests?
Yeah. I love sports. Love watching sports. Honestly, because I like just, relaxing and spending time at home with my son and family. And recently, I enjoy carpentry, doing work with my hands. Mm-hmm. I've been building a lot of things at my house and working on my house. I enjoy that. I used to be a good bowler.
Nice.
Yeah. So, as far as other hobbies go, I kind of there.
It's hard to fit them in when
It
you,
is hard to fit them in.
like have pool or whatever.
Yeah.
Brian wants to know if you're heading over to Spokane for Labor Day.
Absolutely.
Good.
Hopefully, you put Simonis on those tables, buddy.
Simonis on those tables. I love the speed of those tables. Are you kidding me? So, okay. Do you use systems and aiming systems, or consider yourself more of a feel player?
Yeah, I don't know any systems. I know a little kicking system I learned from Steve, but aside from that, I don't have any systems. Like, it's funny because a lot of people will ask me, like, how do you aim? Do you use this system or do you use that system? And I'm like, no, I don't know. I just get up and do it. I've always done that, So the answer is no.
How do you feel about the idea of giving back to the game, and what do you think that would look like for yourself?
I'm all for it, and I've had some of the best intentions of giving back with some of the younger players. I just, unfortunately, time gets the best of me, and not being able to do that. But there has to be another generation of players. Like I turned 35 this week. You know what I mean? So I'm getting older. And there has to be another group of young players coming up from below me there to keep the game advancing. Otherwise, here we are 15 years later, and I'm going to be the old guy on the block, and there's not going to be anybody below me, and taking our place. There has to be a changing of the guard. So if there's a way to, get more young people interested in the game and learn how to play it and play it at a good level, I'm all for that.
And handicapping hurts that?
I think so, because I never got it. I mean, I got a handicap in some of the little weekly tournaments there. I'll tell you what really hurts the young players is just making tournaments that good players can't play in. There's a lot of tournaments like that, B player only, or no masters, or whatever the case may be, and those younger players or players below those skill levels, they need to play with better talent in order for them to excel and improve their game. And so that needs to start happening again. Unfortunately, I don't see the game going that way.
So do you think that something like, maybe not necessarily the games being handicapped or something like that, but maybe entry fee difference? Like, everyone still races to 9, but I only have to pay $5 and you have to pay $50 because...
Yeah. I don't know if I'd go that lopsided, but I would definitely...
Right. As an example.
Yeah, no, because, and I think that makes a lot of sense, because you have a lot of people that are not on that level where they're not going to win a tournament yet. And they know it, you know what I mean? They're hoping to cash in a tournament, and that's if they can do that, they're happy, and I get that. And I think all the good players get that, But they're going into it with a mindset that I'm dead money in this tournament, and so do I really want to go spend $50 to just go donate? And so maybe if you could do something like that, where you'd see the entry fees handicapped, where they only had to pay like $20, where I had to pay $50 or something like that to enter in a tournament, it might be advantageous for them, because they say, hey, you know what? I could pay $20 and I can go play with the best players in the area right there and get a chance to learn something. I think that's a lot easier pill to swallow than having to pay full ticket to play with guys and more than likely go 2 and out in a tournament.
Do you think the better players and the elite players are responsible for that kind of attitude in a way, where the up and coming players don't want to compete type of thing? Or why do you think that is?
I just think it's the culture that's been bred in pool over the last 10 years, with all the handicapping and all the dilution of different divisions, like in Vegas and BCA and all that. I mean, the players, the better players, if I tell somebody who's a weaker player that hey, you need to suck it up and you need to play in these tournaments so you can get better. It could be perceived as, hey, I'm trying to line my own pockets here, and that's not what I'm trying to do, and I don't think that's what, I can't speak for anybody, but I don't think that's what any good player wants. I think they do want to see the game advance and have an opportunity to play in bigger fields, but that kind of stuff just needs to change. I don't know how to change that though.
Of course, it's probably a collective type of effort by everyone.
Yeah. Like with this whole Fargo rating thing, I don't even know what the Fargo. To be honest, this is how out of touch I am with pool. But I don't know anything about Fargo rating. I don't even know what my Fargo rating is. But 690. Okay. I don't know. Is that good or is that bad?
It's pretty sporty.
I don't even know.
There's not very many higher than that in Oregon and Washington.
Yeah. But again, it's another handicap system. It's another system to be able to put players in certain tiers, and I just don't think that's productive.
Yeah.
Anyways, I keep coming back to that, but
it kind of comes full circle. Tell us, what kind of advice you would have for new players if they want to get to your level.
Decide how committed you are, to figure out what your goal is and figure out how committed you are to your goal. So if you want to be, set some attainable goals. I want to be the best player in my pool room. I want you to be the best player in your pool room. I want to be the best player in my league. I want to be the best player in my city. Mm-hmm. I want to be the best player in my state. It keeps graduating from there. And then be committed to that goal. If that requires you taking some lessons from somebody who knows the game a little bit better than you, and you having to invest a little bit of money for that, so be it. If that requires you to get in your car and travel, 4 or 5 hours to go play a tournament that's in your region but might not be in your backyard, you need to do those things, because all those things will help. And it might not help like right away. Like, you're not going to just go sign up to go play a tournament and go play a tournament that has all these tough players and come back and be like, wow, my game's like 2 balls better now. That's not realistic, right? But it's an accumulative thing. It slowly adds on to one after another, and then before you know, in a year, 2 years, you've got all this experience, and you've got all these things, all these events that you've had on your belt. And if you were smart about the way how you approach that, you have all these experiences that you can learn from. But you need to go into it with that mindset, like, I'm going to play this event, do my best, and no matter what, win, lose, or draw, I'm going to learn from it.
Yeah. One of the questions here says to tell us about Damian the Chef.
So I decided when I got fed up with pool at one point, and I was needed to make money, I took some side jobs there, just do it, and I fell in love with cooking.
Yeah.
And so I decided to enroll in culinary school, the Cordon Bleu in Portland.
Uh-huh.
So I moved from Utah to Portland for about 6 months to go to school there, and then I was doing a long distance relationship at the time with my girlfriend, who's now my wife, and so that didn't pan out very well. So I quit the school and went back to Utah and worked in the field down there, and ended up saying, nah, this isn't for me. It made me, cooking for a living made me not like cooking, so I stopped doing it. And ultimately, I could make that kind of money playing pool, So that was my short-lived career as a chef.
Stan says you are the best barbecuer.
I did cook some bean barbecue on the 4th.
Do you have any other questions for him?
No.
All right, we're getting ready to wrap up. If you have any last-minute questions, get them in. And in the meantime, why don't you tell us about, what you see for the future? What's in Damian's future?
Well, I've got the tournament coming up in Spokane next month on Labor Day. And I'm hoping to get some practice time in between now and then, but I've got a really busy month this month with work, so we'll see how that goes, and we'll see how I do over there. Aside from that, I don't really have too much planned out on the calendar now for pool.
Will you be in Lincoln City in October? Or are you going to come play in the Lincoln City Open?
No, actually, to be honest with you, with my new job that I just took, there's a lot of responsibility and a lot of there's a lot of demand on my time right now for that.
Yeah, because you're here for work right now, right?
I'm here for work, yeah. And so, with me, I'm traveling about 2 weeks a month for work right now.
Wow.
Probably for the next year or so. And so that, when I'm home, I need to be home, and I need to be a present father.
Absolutely.
So family's number one. And as much as I want to play pool, I think all my free time needs to go back into the household, not in the pool hall.
Sure.
So, sucks. I mean, it sucks from the sense that I want to play pool, but I also want to provide. So I need to realign my priorities and do that. And, in a year from now, things might settle down a little bit for me, and then I can get back to playing. So I'm still going to play, and I'll still play here and there, but I'll just have realistic expectations on how I finish in events when I play them. So hopefully.
Glenn Marsh asked what you shoot with.
Southwest. Been playing with the same cue since 2002. Yeah. So it's like an extension of my body. I'm just super used to it.
Yeah. Do you have a separate break cue, or do you?
Yeah. I break with a Predator. They break good.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good stuff out there, but I like my Predator.
Excellent.
But, yeah. Any other questions out there?
No.
All right.
I think we're good. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
sitting down with us
Thanks
and
for having
sharing.
me.
And
This was fun.
oh, wait. Luke says, "What is your favorite game, and what size tables do you prefer?" Let's get that in there.
Yeah. So, gosh, that's a tough question about my favorite game because it changes. Right now, I'm in a one pocket season of life where I love one pocket. I'm learning it, so I'm learning to play it better. So it's exciting to me a little bit when I play it. But if I take that out of table, bar table 8 ball is probably my favorite game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I used to play it a lot better than I do now, but because I don't play it anymore. But
Yeah.
Big tables, though, if I had to pick, a table to play on for the rest of my life, I'd prefer to play on a 4.5 by 9.
Do you think you get different things out of different games?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Like my safety play and my kicking, playing 9 ball or any other game, has improved since I started playing one pocket. And then my, shooting in one pocket is, that's a strength of mine, and I get that from playing rotation games, 9 ball, and even 8 ball. And so you take little things from each game and they transfer over. So if you're only stuck playing one game, if you're only playing 9 ball and 8 ball, you're kind of selling yourself short, I feel like.
Yeah. All right.
Any other questions?
Oh, Luke says you're so handsome.
Thanks, Luke. Just trying to get on your level.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right.
Till next time, guys.
All right.